Right now, I see Leeds United being a team that can stay in the Premier League. The problem you've got is who's dropping out of that Premier League. That's the hardest part for me to be able to understand.
Leeds United and Burnley both winning their respective games to confirm they will be playing Premier League football next season. Still all to play for, as you can see, in terms of who will actually win the division, tied on 94 points with 2 games left to go. Let's talk about each of their merits and how they're going to get on in the Premier League next season as terms of prediction. Let's talk about Leeds first. For me, best side in the Championship this season, and also, because this isn't always the same thing, the side with the best opportunities to succeed in the top division. Yeah, listen, I think obviously 2 very important clubs for them, 2 very important moments for them in their history, and I think there's an opportunity for both of them to really create success just before the end of the season with the points record that they can actually achieve. For me, it's important to recognise how well Leeds have managed to handle the fact that 185 million has gone out the door with transfers. That's ridiculous for Daniel Farke to be able to handle. And then put together a competitive team. That's ridiculous in itself. So for me, I'm very, very impressed with what Farke has done. I'm quite surprised to see the fact that he's been rumoured to be potentially leaving the club or might not be on the bench by the time they get to the Premier League. So for me, yeah, I mean, it's a special campaign. The best offence in the league. They've looked the more dangerous side. They're fabulous to watch. They've also introduced 2 or 3 very important pieces to the puzzle that have been a success. Bogle, obviously, in right fullbacks come in, goals and assist, impressive. Maynard Solomon has come into the club on the left-hand side, and he's been absolutely fabulous. 9 goals and 11 assists from him. So, yeah, very, very good season from Leeds United. Outstanding to watch play, and one of the more entertaining teams and one of the more entertaining seasons that we've witnessed. As for Burnley, the main strength for them was obviously the defensive line that they had, the clean sheet record. But for Scott Parker, he's a manager who's got a point to prove, hasn't he? I mean, he's got promoted with Fulham, got promoted with Bournemouth, but didn't go that well in the Premier League. And there was a bit of a narrative in England that the way that he sets up sides works well in the Championship, not necessarily so in the top division. What's he going to do differently this time around? Well, first and foremost, you've got to say congratulations. I mean, the points that they could achieve. I mean, 15 months out of football after being sacked by the Belgian club Brugge. I think it's impressive to see that he was giving the opportunity first and foremost. I think differently from what we witnessed under Vincent Kompany, this team has got to be built around defence. I think last time around they tried to be a little bit too cute and change their tactical approach. This season, what we've seen with the success that they've had, and obviously Trafford's been brilliant for them in goal. 28 clean sheets is a remarkable record for any team. But they've conceded 15 goals. I mean, that's insane. That's why they're getting promoted. It's not for what they've done going forward. I actually went to have a look and see what they said post-game, obviously, against Sheffield United. It was a great game. But their captain, Brownhill, he said after the game, we bored our way to the Premier League. That's not necessarily saying too much for excitement of your supporters, but maybe it's a sign for all of us out there of what could come in the Premier League once they actually get there. Excellent in defence, obviously terrific with the goalkeeper. He's probably one of the best. That might be their biggest piece of business if they can keep a hold of him. He's clearly a very special talent and already involved in the England setup. It's quite impressive. But to concede only 15 goals is absolutely insane. So they have to, in my opinion, if you look at the 2 of them, Leeds will go on their offence. They're the highest goal scorers in the league, very entertaining, very fun going forward. They've got so many weapons offensively. One thing that they changed defensively was their goalkeeper. Melia was making far too many mistakes, and Farke pulled him out. He put an experienced goalkeeper in, and he had 4 clean sheets in the last 5 games. That got them over the finish line. Those small decisions are vital in your way to promotion in the Championship. One of the big trends in English football over the last few years has been these teams getting promoted from the Championship and then really struggling in the Premier League and getting, relegated straight back down again. What does your gut tell you? Do you think these 2 have got enough to survive next season? I think the 3 teams that were competing with Sheffield United, I'd throw in there as well, were set to be able to compete. They obviously had financial backing behind them to be able to compete, to buy better players, to improve on what they've previously done in the Premier League. So all 3 teams, even if United went up as well, I think would have been able to compete. Right now, I see Leeds United being a team that can stay in the Premier League. The problem you've got is who's dropping out of that Premier League. That's the hardest part for me to be able to understand. Burnley, when they don't concede, that's one thing. In the Premier League, it's very difficult to have a goals against record like 15 against you. It's impossible in the Premier League because of the quality that's coming against you. So you've got to offensively go forward and try to make it happen.
win. I just think that Leeds are probably shaped up better. The problem I've got now is these rumours about Daniel Farke as to whether or not he's going to be on the sidelines. Burnley, with Scott Parker, great experience, someone who's been there and kind of done it, and maybe learn from what's happened to him previously to see if he can keep Burnley in the Premier League as well. I think both of them have a chance, there's no doubt about it. But you need one of the teams who have had a great season this year, a Brentford, a Nottingham Forest, someone like that, maybe even a West Ham who are 15 points away from the relegation zone. They're the closest team to the relegation, but they're 15 points away. So you need one of those giant clubs to have a poor season to be able to sneak in and take their place.
Because there is, and Whitty said this a couple of times, there is this kind of purgatory bit between the Championship and the Premier League where you've got a few teams, and you can put both of these in it, that are probably too good for the Championship, really, but they're not quite good enough for the Premier League, and these teams that are just sort of bouncing up and down between the two. What does English football have to try to do to potentially change that, to give these promoted teams from the Championship a better opportunity of success at the top level?
Yeah, for me personally, I don't want to see any type of playoff come into play. I think what we're recognising right now is the gap is far too big between the team that is finishing right above those relegation places in the Premier League, with West Ham being in that position right now. 15 points is far too big to be able to introduce some sort of playoff structure. I think what we're recognising is there's an enormous amount of money for teams who do get promoted and drop back down that gives them an advantage. Luton Town probably being an anomaly for the season that they've had. They've been pretty poor. But those structured and strong foundation clubs, they have the ability to be able to go again. Leeds, they had to sell 185 million of players, but still had a terrific squad, still had the enterprise behind them, still had Red Bull behind them to be able to invest. I know the ownership group at Burnley as well. Alan Pace, very good friend of mine, and I know him from his time in Major League Soccer. Outstanding brain and someone who really knows business well, but now knows football incredibly well as well. They'll invest in this as well to try and be able to stay in the Premier League. I don't know what you can do in that gap, though, and I have heard Whitty talking about this. It's almost as if there's that league in between, where you've got 6 to 8 teams that can potentially get up to the Premier League that most likely will come back down from the Premier League. It's very difficult to be able to compete because the teams above them, your West Hams, your Brentford, I mean, you could go all the way up to the Premier League. The foundation is already set. They've been in the Premier League for a number of years. The money that they've continuously got.
Brighton have done it as well.
Brighton have done an amazing job. I mean, teams like Nottingham Forest, look at Forest now. What they've done over the last year, it's remarkable. You need luck. That's the only thing I could basically say. The only other thing I would like to see happen is the Football League get some help from the Premier League when it comes to funding. I'd like it all the way down the divisions. I don't want to see your stories like Wrexham, which is an amazing story, but it's also huge investment going into them. Birmingham City, huge investment going into them. It's not coming from the league itself. Far too much money in that bubble above, protecting their money, than what you see drifting down to the lower leagues, Championship, then into League One, then into League Two. It's making it much more impossible to see these remarkable stories of teams that can go up and up and up. Like in Ipswich, it's very rare to see. That's only good management, well-run, top-class executives and great scouting. And if you have a good manager, that will certainly bode you well when you get into the Prem.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Burnley and Leeds get on in the Premier League next season. Good luck to both of them.
Yeah.